Hello everybody, Drywall Repairman here. We're just doing a video on these command sticky things. A lot of people use these on their walls because they don't want to damage their walls by putting big screw holes in their walls to hang their pictures. These things work great if you use them correctly. They tend to have problems when you go to remove them if you don't remove them correctly, or if they're stuck on flat painted walls. They tend to want to rip the paper, the face edge of the sheetrock. So we're going to go ahead and fix these patches. Hello friends, another video from Drywall Repairman. On this channel we have mostly videos of drywall repairs such as patching, stress cracks, texture matching, small jobs, easy jobs, do-it-yourself type jobs. We are on the job working, so as I'm working I'm trying to make simple videos to show you guys how to do watch and learn type videos. So let's go ahead and jump into the video here and see what's involved. Also, at the end of the video, please subscribe, like, and comment, and jump in the other playlists and watch my other videos. Hey, thanks for watching this video. So yeah, on this job here, the homeowner used these command sticky things to hang pictures. They went the extra route. They paid for these nice, expensive hooks to stick on their walls so they wouldn't damage their walls. But look at the damage it created. Sometimes just leaving them on for years and years on end, when you go to pull them off, they pull the face of the sheetrock. This is a flat painted wall, so I think the flat painted walls, the glue inside these command strips really stick and bond, so when you remove it, it just tears it off. Maybe if it was like a semi-gloss painted wall or something like that, a smooth wall, it'd probably come off a lot easier. And maybe if you peel them off really slow, it might do little to no damage. But people pull them off and it creates damage like this. Once it rips it off like this, you get this paper edge. This is basically underneath the sheetrock, all the mud work. The face of the sheetrock is the brown paper. So once you get that brown paper exposed, you're going to have to scrape all the loose stuff. And I like to use a spray glue. There's a lot of spray glues out there. Any name brand spray glue will do. There is a sheetrock glue out there that we use for corner bead, but I can no longer find it. I looked everywhere. They quit selling it back when COVID hit. I don't know if it's a distributing issue or something, but I just use a regular spray glue for stuff like this. Basically, that glue is going to tack down the paper because the paper is kind of loose, bubbly. So at least it will keep it pushed down. We don't want a bunch of air bubbles and stuff and loose stuff when we go to coat it with mud, because then the mud's going to get blisters. After I do the spray glue, I like to just follow through on it and just put some fiberglass mesh tape. This is just extra sense of security. You don't have to do it, but I already have it here. So I'm just going to put a piece of fiberglass over my spray glue. That way I know the area is sealed and perfect. I don't want to mud it and texture it, and then I look back after the mud sets up and there's a big blister on the wall because I didn't take the time to put some fiberglass. But the main area here is just the big spot that I did the spray glue and fiberglass on. The other little areas weren't as bad, so I just scraped those and just put a little bit of spray glue on it. But you'll see as I go through this video, one of the areas are going to actually blister on me. So then once it blisters like that, we're going to have to peel away the blister. This spray glue technique works for all these torn paper edges. It might not be these command sticks, it might be something else you pull off the wall. And the face of the sheetrock paper, the brown paper is showing. This technique works for it all. A lot of guys like to paint over it with kills and stuff like that. Those all work good too, but we have to finish this job in one trip. So I just put the spray glue on, fiberglass it, let the spray glue kind of set up, and then I'm just going to follow through with a quick first coat with some 5-minute mud. I'm not mixing it super thick. I'm just going to do tight skim over the touch-up areas. This is the same process for touching up nail holes, little tack holes, little repairs like this. A lot of people call it T&I, tenon improvement, repairs. It's little touch-up stuff. It's real tedious stuff, but it has to be done. What we're just treating it like a patch, basically. Just get it fiberglass, going to do a first coat. And the first coat, you're not putting it on heavy. We don't need a big hump on the wall. We're just filling it in. I'm skimming it real tight, the first coat, so I get that mud pushed inside that fiberglass and really get in there. And then I'm just going to do a tight coat over the actual touch-up areas. While that first coat's setting up, go ahead and clean up your tools. Always clean up your tools after you're done using it. Sometimes with these muds, you forget about it in your pan and knives, and then it sets up, and then you just have a big chunk of mud stuck on your tools. So I always clean up right after. I like to wash stuff up in a bucket and a sponge like this, or you can use a little washout area with fresh water and a garden hose. That works best. But clean bucket of water and a sponge. Just get everything cleaned up. This mud's a 5-minute mud, so I got to give myself about 4 or 5 minutes before it starts really setting up. Then I got to catch it before it sets up and slick it out. Like many of my other videos that I use hot muds on, I always do this slick out technique. This technique has to be done with all the hot muds. Since these are just touch-up areas, you're not going to have to really get too crazy with doing a heavy second coat or third coat. Sometimes you can get away with a nice first coat and they'll be ready for texture. Since I'm already outside, I'm using a joint compound. Like in my other videos, capping off the joint compounds in the buckets. I'm just dumping off the water and mixing it up. So now I have my texture ready. I don't texture with hot muds. I know a lot of guys out there, they probably touch up with hot muds so they can turn around and paint. I always texture with joint compounds. Joint compounds make a better finish, and using hot muds are more for a first coat, second coat process. Basically get everything cleaned up. Your next step for slicking out is always a clean sponge and a clean 6-inch knife so we can go ahead and slick out our first coat. Just go ahead and slick up all your little touch-up areas. Oh, look, a blister. See how that blisters out? Yeah, this is a common area to get blisters. Notice I put fiberglass on the bottom bad area, but I didn't put fiberglass on this other one, like I said earlier in the video. I caught a blister. Nothing's more disappointing than finishing up your mud work and then you get a blister. Now you have to stop what you're doing. You have to dig out the blisters and basically start with step 1 again. So now with the blister, I'm going to scrape it out the blister, get all the rough stuff out, and then I'm going to have to turn around and do the same thing I did like with the lower patch. I'm going to have to do spray glue, and then I'm going to put a piece of fiberglass mesh tape, and then while that's setting up, I'm going to mix a little bit of mud and catch up this blister area. I do this for all blisters. If you get blisters in your drywall project, anything you're doing, skimming out mud, sometimes you skim out stuff that blisters up after your first or second coat, you're going to have to dig out those blisters. It's just part of remodeling when you're doing repairs on old walls. I'm just going to catch up this little touch-up blister. We call it catching up to get it to the process of the other. So I'm going to have to first coat this real quick, get it caught up with my other patches. A little bit of 5-minute, and with My leftover 5-minute, I'm going to also do a tight second coat on my other work. But yeah, these blisters, they're really a pain in the butt. You do a job and you'll turn around and see blisters. They're really common if you're like skimming over wallpaper walls or walls where they rip tile off the wall and there's a lot of that paper, sheetrock paper showing, and then when you go to mud it, the mud has nowhere to bond because the paper's loose, so then you get those blisters. So there's no way around it. Some guys like to razor blade around each blister and cut them out, but I just scrape them out with a 6-inch knife, and I use a spray glue and fiberglass technique, and I usually never get a re-blister after that. Yeah, and as that coat dries, same thing like the first coat, just go ahead and clean up your tools. Always clean up your tools after your coating process. We don't want mud drying on our tools, ruining our knives. So we clean as we go as the mud sets up, and then we set ourselves up for the next step. The next step after this is texture. I already mixed up my texture on the prior step, so I'm ready to go on this step. We're just going with the steps here. Skip trowel, there's nothing to these skip trowels. This is a heavier mud. I would say like a heavy pancake batter consistency with a joint compound. Grab what mud I need. I'm just going to go ahead and clean the sides of the bucket. Cap off my bucket. Just like my other videos, capping off the buckets so it's ready to go for the next job. Next job, I just open the lid, dump the water out, remix it up, and it's ready to go again for the next texture project. Alright, the mud's setting up, so let's go ahead and go take a look at it, and hopefully it's set up good enough to slick out. Alright, the mud's set up good enough with these hot muds, and I'm going to go ahead and slick it out. The little touch-up areas are pretty much finished. Just going through, checking everything. Most important is your touch-up areas or your edges. The mud work edge, you want to blend it in with the sponge. Feather out that edge. That's what this sponge is for, to feather out your edges on all your patches. If you don't feather up the edges when you go to texture and paint, you're going to see the edges of every little mud patch you did. So we always feather out these edges. Makes a nice perfect job. I'm just going to do a real tight skim coat over the blister patch. Nice tight joint compound and the rest of them. You can see the pattern on the wall. This is a skip trowel. Out here we call it skip trowel. And I have many videos of skip trowel texturing. This is just done, I do it with the 6-inch knife on patchworks. If you're doing like whole new sheetrock walls and ceilings, you would use a bigger skip trowel knife. But for these patches, just a regular joint compound mud and a straight 6-inch knife, you can pretty much mimic the skip trowel pattern. I always take a look at the existing texture to see what direction. Sometimes it goes up and down, diagonal, side to side. So you want to go with the same direction as your skip trowel. That's the most important part. Nothing to it. This is a simple texture, skip troweling. You can learn how to do this easy on your own. Practice on a piece of old sheetrock or something like that, and you'd be surprised how easy it is once you learn how to do it. Maybe it's a texture you want to do on a wall and custom texture. But we're matching. It's pretty easy for me to do because I did so many of them. But you could see with these command sticks, these little sticky things, instead of using a regular screw or nail in the wall to hang their pictures, look at all the damage they created on the wall. I had to do all these patches. Now they're going to have to sand all these patches and basically paint this whole wall over area just to hang a couple pictures. Crazy. So those command stickers, you could use them. If you use them correctly, I'm sure they're awesome. But, you know, this person ripped off the pictures in the walls, and now they're basically having to touch up their whole wall. Calling a drywaller, get it all touched up, textured, getting blisters on the walls, texturing the walls. There's a lot of stuff for some sticky pads, and they also had to buy the stickers to stick them on the walls, so this is a very expensive alternative instead of using nails. I would just use basically picture hanging nails, maybe a smaller nail that can hold more weight, kind of like the other anchors that are on the walls right now. Those work good, because if you pull the anchor out, you just have to put a little dab of mud over the nail hole and it's fixed. But here now they have to fix the whole wall, turn around, primer the whole wall, probably end up painting the whole wall just so it matches in, since there's so many touch-up areas on it. But that's my 2 cents on those command stickies. I've repaired more of them than I know, and like I said earlier, any spray glue works. Name brand spray glues, it works. It's just one of those tricks of the trade. So this is just a helpful video. I know most people will at least try to use those sticky pads once, and they may have issues with it, and then you're going to have to fix your wall, especially rentals. People want to not put holes in the walls in their rentals and their apartments or condos, and they use these sticky pads, and then they rip off the pictures. Now they have to fix the walls in their rental. What a nightmare. So yeah, this is what I think about the command stickers. It makes me money because I have to fix the walls. I'm sure if they were used correctly, they would have worked how they should. But in this instance, this is what happens with those command stickies. I hope this video was helpful. The channel is growing, so I do appreciate you guys for watching these videos, supporting the channel, liking, sharing. The channel's growing. I'm trying to make better videos. It takes a lot of time and energy. I'm already tired from working in construction all day, so I'm just making these videos for you guys to help you out. And watching the videos are free. Watch the commercials are free. That's what you can do to support the channel. Thank you again.